If you are like me with the tea and coffee, this might be a video for you, because what I have learned throughout my minimalist decluttering journey, even decluttering down to the point of being an extreme minimalist, is the one last thing I found so hard to declutter was coffee and tea memorabilia. Paraphernalia. And that is because I just love having different flavours, experimenting with different styles of coffee, but with that comes a lot of stuff. And if you will remember back, even sort of a year into my decluttering journey, the one area that really took up a lot of space and stuff in my minimalist home, in my minimalist kitchen, was the coffee. The tea a little bit, but the coffee even more. At one point, not only did I have a coffee machine, I had a pour over coffee, I had a cafetiere. There was one point where I even toyed with the idea of getting a mocha pot, and I thought they're all just ways to make coffee. Do I really need more than one? Do I need them all? I really had to think about which way I truly enjoyed having my coffee. And what I've got it down to now is the convenient way of, yes, using a coffee pod, because my partner likes that as well, because it's quick when Monday to Friday through the week when we're a bit busier and we haven't got time to make it from scratch. But also that means not having to have a grinder, having to have a whole jar of coffee beans. Yes, there are ways that you can limit that by perhaps just having a little coffee grinder at a time, but then obviously every time you want to do it, you have to get that out and do that. So perhaps the more convenient way to be able to do that is to then have a huge coffee grinder on your side, but then that's more stuff on your surfaces, and if you have a little kitchen and barely any kitchen surfaces like me, that's something that you want to keep to a minimum. So whilst I am definitely not telling people to declutter the coffee and tea, because that might be something like myself that they really enjoy, really truly question what are your favourites, what do you want to try, could you try it just out of the house, which is what we're going to talk about today, and what do you truly enjoy. For instance, I kept seeing, I'm not gonna lie, I was influenced by other minimalist videos, I kept seeing all these minimalist videos with people doing the pour over with the, you know, the gooseneck kettles, but the more and more I tried the pour overs all the time, the more it frustrated me. It took a long time to grind my coffee beans every day, and even with an electric coffee grinder, it still seemed to take quite a while, time that Monday to Friday I just simply didn't have. So I think I've found a happy medium now. Yes, I use my coffee machine through the week. When I fancy having a pour over now, I've still found a way to do it that doesn't take as long, because the grinding got monotonous. It was a grind doing the coffee grinding. So now the little setup that I have, which I'm going to do while I talk to you about some other ways of perhaps considering decluttering all the coffee paraphernalia, is, as you can see, it has made a real difference to my cupboards, my kitchen. I have nothing on the side, I have nothing now other than a fruit bowl and normally my chopping boards, which go up there on my shelf, and I only have like 3 jars in the cupboard, including this pot, a tea bag jar, and another coffee pod jar. So this is the new coffee that I'm trying. I don't get it unground because I don't want to have all the coffee paraphernalia, coffee grinders and things that takes up. I don't want it to take me lots of time to do it, but I want to occasionally be able to enjoy having sort of, you know, a drip coffee filter, especially now that I'm getting into black coffee more. So I have this little bag that I'm going to try today. It is Peruvian. I like to try coffees from different regions, and that's another thing what I've tried to limit. I only try one new coffee at a time until that bag has gone. Similar to what I've talked about in the bathroom, only sort of trying one new bar shampoo or one new type of eco-friendly shampoo at a time rather than lots, so it's not cluttering up your bathroom. The same can be applied for coffee and tea, and it really was the last thing causing clutter in my home. So you could say the last thing, even though I decluttered the Buddha, so to speak, yesterday, you know, I'm considering it the Buddha statue. This was perhaps the last real big thing that I did declutter, because I realised that there were elements of it in my day that caused me more hassle than it was worth to me. And I didn't have time to do it, because I do have quite a busy day, but I then do have times where I try to slow down later in the afternoon. But my morning, when I want my coffee, is very busy. So let's open the coffee. This is actually a special coffee tin jar, and it has actually an airtight, a really airtight component, so that once you open the coffee you don't have to worry about it going off. One person did suggest in the comments that if you really didn't like grinding your own coffee but you didn't want to buy like a packet from a supermarket, you could obviously buy it from your favourite local coffee store to still support them as well. Good idea, might do that next time. But then I have my coffee, it has the gauge, and it comes with this little scoop, so I don't have another extra scoop somewhere in my drawer. Now, we are going to make a coffee, so I'm going to put the kettle on whilst I tell you some other ways of perhaps decluttering this last area a bit. And also, because of the video that I did yesterday where I discussed being more sustainable and trying to be more zero waste, I'm also going to talk about some things I may further be decluttering in the coffee department. So whilst the coffee is boiling, before we actually talk about what I may be decluttering from my coffee area of the kitchen, I wanted to tell everybody a few things about coffee, because sometimes coffee gets a bad press these days. You know, people are switching over to matcha, which I have nothing against. There are benefits to matcha, but there are benefits for coffee. For instance, there have been studies to suggest that coffee, obviously, like with everything in life, in moderation, 1 to 2 cups a day, can actually help prevent dementia. It can actually even help prevent colon cancer by obviously keeping you regular, which for some people, even despite dietary efforts at eating fibre and things, is still an issue for them. So there are all kinds of benefits to coffee. I'll add some more on screen. With everything, even like within minimalism, is which thing do you value most? For instance, I can understand if somebody is very sensitive to caffeine, somebody wanting to cut it from their life, or if they thought it was becoming an addictive behaviour, having more than 2 a day, and it really sort of starting to make them feel too jittery. I've never had those bad side effects. If anything, it really does help keep me focused as well, which, with me wondering sometimes whether I do have ADD, I haven't been diagnosed, but sometimes some of my behaviours suggest it. It really helps me focus and concentrate a little bit more, and it definitely helped me throughout my master's degree when I was studying philosophy, because sometimes we had to sort of read for like 14 to 16 hours a day, and I don't think that would have been possible without a cup of coffee sort of in the early afternoon to just keep me going that bit more in terms of concentration. So I am a coffee lover, but I don't judge people that do want to be caffeine free, you know, each to their own. So let me try this new coffee today, and then we are going to declutter something quite big in an effort to be a little bit more sustainable with my approach to coffee. Apparently 1 scoop is a perfect amount. We stick to 2 methods. The coffee machine and this tiny little portable drip over filter. So that is nearly gone all the way through. Now it says that this coffee has subtle fruit and milk chocolate flavour, and I can recycle this packet. Ideally paper would be better, but it is what it is. I know that they do sort of keep them in foil to keep them a little bit fresher. Let's have a taste of this coffee. I was more interested in the citrusy flavours rather than the milk chocolate, but it should be interesting. Good. Good, yes. It's actually more citrusy. You can't really taste the milk chocolate. Nice. So, let's talk about sustainability and coffee. Now, I do like a coffee out. As I spoke about in the what I spend in a week video, I go out about every other day for a coffee, which usually equates to about 3 times a week. And because I am trying to be frugal, that can actually add up. So what I actually do, because I love my local Japanese coffee shop, but it is expensive in there, so to kind of limit my funds and be a little bit more frugal in that area, I only go there about once a week. That's like my weekend place. But through the week, up until recently, I have been going to Costa, which is a franchise within the UK. I'm not sure if it's wider than the UK. Now, they do have some sustainability efforts. For instance, if you take your own refillable cup, they reward you for that by your coffee being slightly cheaper, and you're getting more coupons, you know, on the bean back system, where you get the 10th coffees free once you've collected them, but it's actually 8 if you take your own cup. But what I actually do to also try and be more sustainable in my coffee efforts is I never actually have a takeout coffee. I either go because I am going to sit in the place and enjoy the atmosphere, soak up the environment, mingle with society a little bit, because at the end of the day I work from home, so it's my way to mix a bit, because I'm not out there mixing on an evening in a pub because I don't really drink. So it's my way of doing that. It's my way of catching up with friends to go to the coffee shop. But the Costa one is much cheaper than the local independent, so I try to do a little bit of both to balance that. Now, recently a Starbucks did open in our town, and I did visit it because I wanted to visit it, and I did notice that they didn't do any kind of fill in your own cup type thing in there. The sustainability efforts did seem a bit poorer than in the Costa, and you had to get even more, I think it's 12 drinks to get a free drink, and they seem to not even offer you to have it in an actual pot or glass or ceramic cup if you want. Whereas in Costa, if you have it in, which is what I do, it is always ceramic, and you almost have to ask for that in the Starbucks, otherwise they either give you a cardboard cup if it is a hot drink or a plastic one if it is cold. So that's probably somewhere that I'm not going to go that much to in the future, but I am going to stick to Costa to have it in as part of my social interaction and enjoyment. But what do I do the other 3 or 4 days a week for my coffee when I'm not going there? I take either one of these or one of my coffee machine coffees in a takeout container, and I go enjoy it just outside in my stainless steel takeout bottle. I'm never getting a takeout cup to just take somewhere for 5 minutes and then throw in the bin. So that's my effort to be sustainable in that area as well. And as for the coffee machine, I do actually use the pod back scheme. All the pods are aluminium. I take them to the local drop-off point, and they are returned to the company, where you can actually guarantee that they are recycled. So that's my effort there, to still do something that I enjoy doing for the convenience. Although I have heard you can get little refillable pods even, that I could get a little aluminium pod, put that coffee into it and put it in. Now I would do that, but my partner wouldn't. So obviously what some people need to remember when they do watch my videos and they see that, is that we are 2 people living here. It's not just me as well. So I have to factor in what works for both of us. Now at the beginning of this video, I said I was going to declutter something. So what I have actually learned since my previous coffee machine broke, which was the one that had the built-in milk frother, I actually don't like the milk if it hasn't been done in a professional frothing machine. So for instance, when the last machine went. I've had one that broke, one that got an issue, one that just like was just too much of a hassle to have to keep cleaning all the time. We got one that was more convenient, easier for my partner to use as well. We got this milk frother. I thought it seemed like a quick, easier way of, you put your milk in there, you press the button, whilst the coffee is doing its little thing, you can then pour it on. And I thought, oh, it'll be still like having, you know, a cappuccino or a latte in a coffee shop. There's something slightly different about the milk frothers than having it, say, in a steamer that you froth. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it has this little element in the bottom which really doesn't look any different to using one of the little handheld things. It's perhaps just a little bit quicker, but for the amount of space that this takes up, for it to not be any better, I'm not sure I want it. And I started to really think about how the milk just felt really flat, not really frothy, not really aerated. So I actually started to have black coffee, and I realised that I actually enjoyed the black coffee more in comparison to this. So this, guys, is going. But as a result of that, it also means that I am decluttering having the quantity of milk that I was having in the house, because say I did have a day where I had 2 coffees, I'm using maybe, I don't know, half a pint of milk a day on coffees. Not only is that obviously more frugal, but that's not the reason that I'm doing it. It's just kind of redundant if I don't want that and the frothy coffee isn't enjoyable. But it's also decluttering all the cartons the milk comes in. Now obviously milk cartons, sometimes they're plastic, sometimes they're cardboard, whatever they are though, it's waste. And I actually go through a lot of them because in my coffee I have a lot more milk than I have in my English tea, which is a tiny dash. So that is a lot of extra waste that now I'm sort of decluttering and becoming a little bit closer to zero waste, as we discussed in yesterday's video, but a lot less waste. I also think it will help my throat because I do suffer from mild asthma, a little bit of eczema and hay fever at this time of year. And since I've been drinking black coffee, just an added benefit for anyone who doesn't know, that black coffee along with eucalyptus, so these 2 remedies, are the most natural cure for asthma sufferers that there are. So if ever you are with somebody that is having an asthma attack and they do not have access to an inhaler, the best remedies are a strong black coffee or obviously inhaling eucalyptus. So far from having this and not as much milk, my throat is also improving, and this is just another reason why black coffee for me is a benefit. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today about sustainability, coffee frugality, trying to adapt your minimalist coffee routine to something even more minimal. I know there are many minimalists that completely cut out coffee, but if you are somebody like me that is a minimalist that loves coffee, perhaps just consider how much of the coffee stuff you really use, and could it be the last thing that you declutter that has really been perhaps holding you back in terms of decluttering in your kitchen area, because it was definitely mine. Like, the rest of the home looked so peace, tranquil and uncluttered, and yet I had this top shelf filled with coffee stuff, one cupboard alone filled with coffee stuff, and now I have practically an empty shelf and an empty cupboard where the coffee stuff once was. What do we do as well to kind of even out the caffeinated levels of the coffee? Because yes, it does dehydrate you slightly. We drink the water. For those of you who are only just joining us on this video, I have been attempting to audit my life for 31 days, and that has been in every capacity, trying to be more frugal, trying to slow down, trying to be more zero waste, even adapting my health rituals in some area, and that goes for water too. Because although I drink a lot of herbal teas, some that are organic without the tea bag as well, so they are purer, I think pure water is just always a good idea. Let's do it. Are we ready? 18 seconds yet. Please! 18 seconds is my personal best. 22 is the fastest so far in these 31 days. Right guys, see you tomorrow. Bye!